I'm having these concerns. Good afternoon. So, I uh, I was reading an article somewhere, and they were talking about homebuyer concerns. That is, when you're out looking for a home, the types of concerns you may have. And I thought about it for a little while during the time that I've been an agent, and I wanted to go over some of those concerns with you, and ways that you can kind of not eliminate but lessen the amount of concern you might have when you're out looking to buy your first home. Let me pull that up here. So, number one, a big concern is rising mortgage rates. So, while you're looking for a house, the mortgage rate keeps going up. The concern here is that the mortgage rates will go up before homebuyers will find a home, causing them not to be able to afford a home with as many features as they would have hoped. There's basically two ways to help with this concern. One, always be looking to add to your savings for a down payment on a home. If you have reason to believe that rates are going to go up and you haven't had any success in the housing market, the option to save cash makes a lot of sense because you're going to be ultimately lowering the financed amount. So even as rates rise, you'll still have a chance to buy that home you're looking for. And as a bonus, as rates go up, home prices should go down, but that's not likely to happen overnight. And then the second thing you can do is buy now. Look for a house that needs work, that one that's dated but has the strong bones that everyone is so fond of talking about. Preferably, this purchase should be at the low end of your budget so that with time and some sweat equity, you should be able to move from that house comfortably should you decide to do so in the future. In this market, I've seen people try to play the rate game, and while it works on the buy side, if you have to sell, you can get into a position where you are selling something better than what you are currently buying for the exact same price, and that makes no sense. A second home buyer concern is taxes. New home buyers are rightly concerned about taxes, in this case, real estate taxes. I don't know how it works throughout the rest of the country, but real estate taxes vary significantly here in St. Louis County, depending on where you live. It's based on the value of the home. So there are two concerns most associated with taxes for the new home buyer. A, what is the taxes on the particular home that they're buying? This is a pretty simple aid from a real estate agent. We have tax records on every property available for sale. Simply showing what the current homeowner paid for the year should go a long way into helping to know if those taxes fit within the home buyer's expectations. And then the second concern of many home buyers with regards to taxes is the question, will my taxes go up? Yes, they will. Real estate taxes rarely go down, so it's only really a question of how much higher they will go. In St. Louis County, there's a reassessment every 2 years. So we're seeing this huge increase in home prices not yet being reflected in the real estate taxes. I just think working with the understanding that your taxes will always go up should help you with your concerns. I mean, it's not like, oh, I wonder if taxes will go up. It's, I wonder when and for how much. Another way to lower homebuyer concerns, one that they have is buying in an unfamiliar area. So new homebuyers are especially concerned about where they buy for a whole host of reasons. This is where your experienced and professional real estate agent should be able to help. One of the things I've noticed is that when people are looking to buy homes, they rarely ever visit the areas they're claiming to be interested in other than the times they're looking for houses to buy. This is a mistake. For example, someone looking to buy in Tower Grove South while living in St. Charles is going to be in for a surprise if they're not familiar with the area. The cure? Go. Be a part of the community. Shop, dine, go to events before you buy. This is the best way to buy in an unfamiliar area and should really help with those concerns. Finding a suitable home within a budget. Given that it's a large investment, things can go wrong with budgeting for a home. I mean, a 30-year fixed mortgage is based off of your employment and income today. Who really knows what's going to happen 5 days from now, much less 5 years? When we look for homes, one of the most important questions up front is where you might like to live. And that's kind of a two-part question. So let's just say that your budget is $300,000 and your desired location only has homes that sell for $400,000 and up. That's going to be an issue. There's really no overcoming this particular issue at this time. Maybe the market will change down the road, but if you're stuck on an exact location that doesn't have the type of housing that you need in your budget, you have to move on to the next part, which is, let's say you're open to any area that has homes in your price range of $300,000. While this definitely opens up your search, it also comes with the downside of perhaps not knowing the area very well. So there's a process here. If you know you aren't going to be able to live in one area, it's on you to discover the nuances of a particular area that you might be comfortable with while living there. Another concern is overpaying for a home. Now, I can understand the home buyer concern of overpaying for a home, but what does that really mean? As an example, I bought a house in the $170,000 range that I could probably sell tomorrow for the low 300s. When I bought the house a decade ago, my neighbors thought I was nuts. Overpaying relative to the market, I can certainly understand this concept. This comes from not researching or physically seeing a bunch of homes in an area with which you have interest. After you see the 10, 5, or 10, 15, or 20-year homes in a certain area, you're going to understand the pricing, and I doubt you will end up overpaying. That's the biggest thing I see is you start looking in all parts of town and you see one house that looks nice, you automatically put an offer in on it, and you have no idea about the pricing in the area, and you miss out. Expecting your agent to know every single part of town, I just think it's not good for you. I think you can do a good job if you just go and visit enough homes and get a good sense for the area. Number 6, crime. Crime is a reasonable concern, of course. Unfortunately, crime is subjective for many people. Some people think that a robbery is totally okay in an area, but a murder isn't. The best way to understand an area is to spend time there. Get a sense for yourself. There are some neighborhoods I'm aware of in St. Louis that get a very bad reputation, but the reality of day-to-day living doesn't really warrant that reputation. There are others that that absolutely do. But go. If you don't feel comfortable in an area, that might be the feeling of crime. That might be enough to make you not want to live there. And that's okay. Better to know that before you end up actually purchasing there. Number 7, a proximity to family and friends. Your family, your friends, many buyers want to be closer to the people that they know. The concern here is that sometimes families end up getting priced out of neighborhoods that they've lived in for generations. For an in-metro move, the family and friends concern is much greater than someone who's moving from across the country. But I'm aware of the concern, and I do often get asked to find homes for sale within a certain distance from a family member or friend. Another concern is commute times. So those in the laptop classes have totally eliminated this issue. It's why we've seen a significant shift out of big cities. However, if you work in an industry where you still need to commute, the commute times are important. When working with a doctor for a few years back, as an example, he wanted to live within 15 minutes of the hospital where he worked. With the technology we have in our property searches, I can set up listings that are within 5 or 10 minutes of a specific location, even in rush hour. Still, there's no substitute for physically driving a route. And that's what I tell buyers to do when they've gotten an accepted offer on a home. Pretend you live in the house. Leave your house a little early and make the commute as you would if you lived there. It's an easy way to ease the commute time concerns. Number 9, home values. The minute you actually buy a house, all of a sudden, stable home values matter. Here are some of the ways I look at finding a home with a stable home value. A, look at the house as a multi-year investment, as in you're planning to stay in the home 5 to 10 years. The market can swing in wild directions, but tend to even out over time. Understand that buying homes in a fringe up-and-coming area can be super risky either way. You could be sitting on a future gold mine if the redevelopment of an area goes well. You can also be sitting on a loser if the path of redevelopment didn't quite continue to your block. If you're buying in these areas, just know what the risk is going in before you buy. Buying a house with what I would call timeless features will go a long way into a home keeping its value. Large bedrooms, 3 or more than 1 bathroom, off-street parking, lots of square footage. These features are always more valuable than homes that do not have them. Another thing is, the construction of a neighborhood matters, at least here in St. Louis. Where I work, a brick house will usually bring more than a frame home. And there are pockets where there will be frame homes together in a subdivision. In that area, the sale prices overall will be lower than the brick homes outside of that pocket. You may not have something like that brick versus frame home where you live, but you might have square footage differences or something else. If you can live in a more desirable neighborhood due to its features, you really might have a better shot at home values staying stable during your ownership. And finally, I think the biggest concern for new home buyers is a situation where they uncover a major issue after moving in. This can happen for a number of different reasons, but one that I wanted to focus on is buying a home as is with no inspections. This is a recipe for disaster. Always keep the option to have a professional inspection before buying any house. If a house comes up for sale and you aren't going to be able to beat an offer without an inspection, move on to one where there is. Even with property inspections, there's always things that can go wrong with a house. Sometimes they happen and the seller really has no idea. Rather than getting into a situation where you have to sue, which can be expensive and you could lose, always try to be aware of anything that seems suspicious before you close on the sale. Point these things out to an inspector. Ask questions. It's okay. And should you find that you've bought a home that does have major issues, make sure that you use a qualified people to make the right repairs. Sometimes a bad issue gets even worse without the right expertise. As an example, if your basement leaks and you happen to spend good money on a repair only for the basement to leak again, you've just compounded the problem. Finally, it's completely normal to have concerns about buying a home. There's always issues that can come up. I'm biased and I believe that a good real estate agent working for you on the buyer side is the best way to buy a house. But you're always going to have concerns, even during home ownership. At least you have someone working on your behalf to hopefully eliminate most of those concerns, or at least minimize them. That's what I have for you today. It's totally okay to be concerned, and you should voice those concerns to your agent, the inspectors, everyone during the process. If something doesn't feel right in the process, point it out. Maybe there's a good explanation. Don't be forced into a bad situation, and you can do this. It can work out for you very, very well. With that, I'm going to head on out. I just wanted to say thank you for watching. Thank you for listening, and I'll catch you on the next one.